What if a handful of stories completely transformed fantasy forever and beyond? Imagine opening a book and discovering worlds unlike anything previously imagined. Some fantasy series entertained readers, while others permanently changed literary history. These remarkable stories redefined expectations and inspired countless authors worldwide afterward. Their influence still echoes through modern fantasy novels, films, and games. Every magical kingdom, legendary hero, and epic quest owes them something. But what made these particular series stand above all competitors historically? Why do readers continue discussing them decades after publication and success? The answers reveal fascinating truths about storytelling, imagination, and cultural impact. These books did more than sell millions of copies globally successfully. They reshaped how writers approached fantasy and expanded creative possibilities dramatically. Before these series appeared, fantasy looked remarkably different than today. The genre existed, but its boundaries remained far narrower previously. Then visionary authors arrived with ideas nobody expected or anticipated. Their stories challenged conventions and introduced unforgettable worlds and characters. Readers quickly realized they were experiencing something extraordinary and groundbreaking. Publishers noticed growing enthusiasm and began investing heavily in fantasy. Soon, an entire literary landscape started changing before everyone's eyes. The transformation happened gradually, then suddenly, across different generations everywhere. New readers entered fantasy through these influential and captivating adventures. Longtime fans discovered fresh perspectives that expanded their imaginations considerably. Authors studied these works carefully, learning valuable lessons about storytelling. Their innovations became foundations for future fantasy masterpieces and classics. Yet each series achieved greatness through completely different creative approaches. Some focused on epic battles between powerful forces and destinies. Others explored personal struggles hidden beneath magical and fantastical settings. Together, they proved fantasy could be limitless in scope and meaning. Their success encouraged experimentation and inspired bold creative risks everywhere. Modern fantasy owes an enormous debt to these pioneering achievements. Without them, today's genre might look surprisingly unfamiliar and restricted. Our journey begins with a series that revolutionized fantasy completely. It introduced readers to a world so detailed and immersive. Every location felt alive with history, culture, and ancient mysteries. Languages, legends, and traditions enriched the experience beyond expectation significantly. Readers felt transported into another reality rather than observing remotely. This level of world building established standards future authors eagerly pursued. Its influence remains visible throughout countless fantasy works today worldwide. The series demonstrated how depth could enhance emotional investment dramatically. Readers cared deeply because the world felt authentic and believable. That authenticity transformed fantasy from escapism into immersive experiences completely. Soon, many writers attempted recreating similar levels of detail successfully. Few matched its impact, but many learned valuable lessons nevertheless. The genre expanded because readers demanded richer and deeper worlds. Expectations changed permanently, raising standards across fantasy publishing everywhere. Yet this groundbreaking series was only the beginning of change. Another influential work approached fantasy from a very different angle. Instead of focusing solely on grand adventures, it emphasized complexity. Characters faced difficult choices without clear answers or solutions available. Moral ambiguity replaced traditional distinctions between heroes and villains often. Readers found themselves questioning assumptions and reconsidering familiar perspectives repeatedly. The storytelling felt mature, unpredictable, and emotionally resonant throughout consistently. This approach attracted audiences previously uninterested in fantasy literature entirely. Suddenly, the genre reached readers seeking sophisticated and nuanced narratives. Fantasy proved capable of exploring serious themes with remarkable depth. Complex politics, relationships, and consequences became increasingly common afterward. Writers recognized opportunities for richer character development and conflicts. The genre evolved beyond simple adventures into multifaceted storytelling experiences. Readers embraced these changes enthusiastically and supported innovative works. As fantasy evolved, several groundbreaking series pushed the genre further. These stories challenged conventions and introduced ideas readers never expected. Their influence spread rapidly through bookstores, libraries, and literary communities. Each series brought something unique that transformed fantasy storytelling permanently. One remarkable example reshaped how readers viewed political intrigue completely. Before its arrival, many fantasy stories followed predictable narrative structures. Heroes battled villains while pursuing straightforward quests toward obvious goals. Then a new series complicated everything with extraordinary effectiveness and depth. Suddenly, every alliance carried hidden motives and dangerous consequences beneath. Readers could never confidently predict what would happen next. Beloved characters faced shocking outcomes that defied traditional expectations repeatedly. The unpredictability created intense emotional investment among audiences everywhere. Every chapter felt significant because nothing seemed guaranteed anymore. Success inspired countless authors to embrace narrative complexity afterward. Fantasy matured into a genre capable of surprising sophisticated readers. This transformation broadened the genre's appeal across diverse audiences significantly. Another influential series revolutionized fantasy through unforgettable character development. Rather than focusing solely on magical events, it emphasized growth. Characters evolved realistically through hardship, sacrifice, and personal discovery. Their struggles felt authentic despite existing within fantastical settings. Readers connected deeply with these characters and their journeys. Emotional resonance became just as important as world building afterward. Writers realized compelling characters could elevate fantasy dramatically higher. Readers wanted heroes with flaws, doubts, and relatable experiences. The genre responded by embracing greater psychological depth consistently. Character-driven storytelling became increasingly common across fantasy literature everywhere. This shift strengthened emotional engagement and reader loyalty substantially. Yet another series transformed fantasy through innovative magical systems. Magic was no longer mysterious power without understandable limitations. Instead, it operated according to carefully designed rules and principles. Readers appreciated the logical consistency and creative possibilities involved. Every magical ability carried strengths, weaknesses, and meaningful consequences. Conflicts became more engaging because solutions required intelligence and strategy. Writers recognized the value of structured and believable magic. Soon, detailed magical systems appeared throughout modern fantasy literature. Readers began expecting thoughtful explanations rather than convenient plot devices. The genre benefited from increased creativity and narrative discipline. New standards emerged for designing immersive fantastical worlds successfully. Another revolutionary series expanded fantasy beyond familiar cultural inspirations. Traditionally, many fantasy worlds borrowed heavily from European mythology. This groundbreaking work explored different traditions, histories, and perspectives. Readers encountered fresh ideas that enriched the genre significantly. Diverse influences introduced exciting possibilities for storytelling and world building. Fantasy became more inclusive, expansive, and culturally varied afterward. Writers from different backgrounds gained greater visibility and recognition. Audiences welcomed these perspectives and celebrated their originality enthusiastically. The genre grew stronger through increased diversity and innovation. New voices challenged assumptions and inspired creative exploration continuously. Fantasy proved capable of representing countless experiences and traditions. Another major series changed fantasy through accessibility and broad appeal. Its storytelling welcomed newcomers without sacrificing depth or imagination. Readers of all ages found something meaningful within its pages. Families shared these stories across generations and communities alike. The books created lifelong fans who continued exploring fantasy afterward. Their popularity introduced millions to the genre worldwide successfully. Fantasy reached unprecedented levels of mainstream recognition and acceptance. Publishers expanded opportunities for aspiring fantasy authors dramatically. The market grew larger, supporting greater experimentation and creativity. Readers benefited from an abundance of new and exciting stories. These developments reshaped the publishing industry in remarkable ways. Together, these five influential series transformed fur. Here's the surprising truth behind these legendary fantasy series' success. Their greatest achievement was never magical worlds or epic battles. It wasn't record-breaking sales or worldwide cultural popularity either. The real transformation happened within readers' minds and imaginations. These stories changed how people viewed fantasy's true purpose. Before them, fantasy often faced misunderstanding and unfair criticism. Many believed the genre offered simple escapism without deeper value. Fantasy was frequently dismissed as entertainment, lacking meaningful substance. These groundbreaking series challenged that perception with remarkable effectiveness. They demonstrated fantasy's ability to explore universal human experiences. Through impossible worlds, they revealed profound truths about reality. Readers discovered lessons hidden beneath dragons, kingdoms, and magic. Fantasy became more than adventure. It became a mirror. It reflected fears, dreams, struggles, and hopes shared globally. This realization changed the relationship between readers and stories. People stopped viewing fantasy as merely an escape from life. Instead, they saw it as a way understanding life. Magical journeys illuminated challenges faced within everyday existence. Heroes represented courage needed during personal hardships and uncertainty. Villains symbolized fears that individuals confront throughout their lives. Epic quests mirrored humanity's search for purpose and meaning. Readers connected deeply because these themes felt universally familiar. Fantasy succeeded by making extraordinary situations emotionally recognizable. That emotional connection became the genre's greatest strength. Another overlooked impact involved inspiring future generations of creators. Countless authors discovered their passion through these influential series. Many began writing after experiencing unforgettable fantasy adventures themselves. Their imagination expanded beyond previous limits and expectations. Creative possibilities suddenly appeared endless and wonderfully achievable. Some became best-selling novelists who shaped modern fantasy further. Others created games, films, artwork, and imaginative experiences. The influence extended beyond literature into countless creative fields. One reader inspired another, creating a continuous cycle. This chain reaction continues shaping entertainment and culture today. Every generation discovers these stories and passes them onward. Their legacy grows stronger rather than fading with time. That enduring relevance reveals something extraordinary about great storytelling. Truly impactful stories remain meaningful despite changing trends. Technology evolves, but powerful narratives continue resonating deeply. Readers still find inspiration within these beloved fantasy worlds. The emotions remain authentic regardless of publication dates. Their themes continue speaking to modern audiences effectively. Courage, friendship, sacrifice, and hope never become outdated. These values remain central to human experience everywhere. The greatest fantasy stories understand this timeless reality perfectly. Yet another fascinating insight emerges when examining these series. Despite their differences, they share a common characteristic. Each took creative risks that others considered impossible. Their authors ignored limitations and pursued ambitious visions fearlessly. Some publishers doubted these ideas would ever succeed commercially. Others questioned whether readers would embrace unconventional approaches. Yet the authors persisted and trusted their creative instincts. Their willingness to innovate changed fantasy forever afterward. This lesson extends beyond literature into every creative pursuit. Progress often begins when someone challenges accepted assumptions courageously. Innovation emerges through experimentation, risk-taking, and determination consistently. These series succeeded because they dared to be different. Their uniqueness became the foundation of lasting influence. Readers rewarded originality with loyalty, enthusiasm, and admiration. The genre evolved because visionary creators expanded its boundaries. Today's fantasy landscape reflects their bold contributions clearly. Modern authors build upon foundations these pioneers established carefully. New stories continue introducing fresh ideas and perspectives. The cycle of innovation remains alive and thriving. Fantasy continues evolving because creativity never stands still. Future masterpieces may emerge from unexpected places tomorrow. New voices will challenge conventions and inspire audiences again. The genre's evolution remains an ongoing and exciting journey. That's the true legacy or